Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei Was Abandoned by His Parents and Joined the Lustful Island movie. Before we start, please go support ecipionelafricano for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistake in character's gender, but of course Issei is a male. It is the story of a young brown student, rejected by his family, leaves home to look for a better place but runs into a storm that drags him to the place of his fantasies. So the brown called Issei will decide. Chapter 1. Looking for a New Beginning. He still looks brown-haired on a makeshift boat in the middle of the Atlantic. He wonders why I'm in the middle of the sea. Well, you see, my parents abandoned me because my brother Alex told them that I said I hated them and that I would rather die than be with them. My parents took it literally since my brother was their favorite. My sisters believed him and said they didn't want a traitorous brother in the family. If that's what I am, Issei Hujo, abandoned by my parents. So I left the house, looked for the essentials in my room and took the money from my savings as well as clothes and other things. I left the house and was wandering around the streets of course since my school didn't want to see me because of my brother's lies, so I was on the outskirts of the city heading to the port of Osaka. At the port of Osaka, I boarded a cargo ship bound for Central America via the Panama Canal. It was a good opportunity to live in Central America, so I headed off on the timber export boat to Central America. The ship Sarpo leaving the port of Osaka headed east in search of the Central Americas, and my objective was that of the Central Americas, seeking happiness in foreign lands. So a few days passed until the incident happened. Issei, well, I'm here now, what can I do? The starry night sky is so beautiful, heading towards a new life. That's what I thought because I didn't know what was coming next. That starry night turned into a storm. The ship was rocking violently from side to side. Large waves covered the deck of the ship. The wooden cargo on the starboard side was rocking and was about to be untied. I was on the starboard side of the ship hiding and asking for it to pass. But it didn't happen. On the contrary, the captain of the ship said to turn to right. When he gave that instruction, the cargo on the starboard side came untied, throwing the wooden sticks into the ocean. I no longer had the strength to hold on to anything, and I went with the cargo into the forgotten sea without knowing where I was. I had survival knowledge. In the lost cargo there was rope and blankets and a knife. In quick thought I took the hunting knife with a few sticks that were within my reach, and the rope I tied about 4 to 7 wooden sticks. I brought up the blankets and other wooden sticks to my improvised raft. With the wet blankets I covered myself since the night was cold and the rainstorm did not stop. I only prayed that it would reach dry land, but nothing happened. The next morning, in the same way, stranded in the middle of the sea. Luckily my raft survived the night before. With the few things they have like the blankets I put them out to dry to make a sail. The wooden poles I put them in the middle of the barge for my mast, and with the ropes, since the blanket was ready to dry, I placed it. I had a homemade sailboat. In the middle of the sea, I was not on a single dirt track. In my backpack I had food and some survival gear, and luckily I had my lucky compass that always pointed to what I wanted most and that I won in a raffle. You seem familiar to me today. Well, since I had more or less where I was, so I headed north. I was in the vicinity of a storm, so I tied my things to the mast and prepared for the worst. As I had anticipated. Ignore the little boat. A strong storm was coming, so I took the rope that held my sail and closed it because I wanted the sea and the water to direct my path. So it happened alone with a raft and a bare mast and only me against the Atlantic Ocean. The waves were aggressive. Waves 5 meters high and water hit me in the face. That trip was the most difficult of my life, face to face with the dangerous sea. Since my life was worthless if I died in the vast sea, no one was going to care for me. Those I knew would not surprise me. My life was just a waste for other people. The water was violently rushing at the boat, but I didn't give up, clinging to the mast. I watched as the poor little boat rose into the waves, as it suffered from the pounding waves of the vast sea. If I could be sure that it wasn't near Europe or any other place in the West, I was sure that it was in American waters because of the weather they were experiencing. The storm it was in was passing through the Caribbean Sea. And how do I know that? If it came in the same direction as the boat and sailed for 3 days. I was sure that it was in the Caribbean, so it's close to some islands to take refuge in. The strong current dragged me out as if the sea wanted to tell me not to go into deep sea. I didn't know that seemed to be the intention. but clinging to the mast I opened the sails and went into the bottom of the sea. My prediction was correct, the sea wanted to take me away, because it was close to the Bermuda Triangle, and how do I know? It was said that the Bermuda Triangle was home to giant whirlpools. The sea accepted my offer and I went into the bottom of the sea. I knew I was going to die, but I am going to die knowing what the secret behind the Bermuda Triangle is. So much was my desire that at high tides my ship turned over in the middle of the storm. I could not stand it anymore. I lay down on the boat to wait for the worst. That is how my story is. I do not know what fate has in store for me. Chapter 2: Arriving in Paradise? The water current was very strong. The waves were becoming more intense. Shadows in the sea were hallucinating. Whirlpools everywhere. The water currents were growing more. Not a light in the sky. Only storms. The day passed. I did not know my whereabouts. I only knew that if I was going to die, I was going to die in the sea. The waves did not stop. My raft moved with violence. The waves grew bigger. I only thought about dying or finding land far from those who scorned me through my brother's lies. I didn't even have a girlfriend back in Kwa. I was going to die in the sea without having a girlfriend or feeling the love of a girl. But I hoped that in the afterlife God had planned for me to give that to me. Somewhere else. No customers or men have come. You are right. After these places became stormy and strong winds, no plane or ship has come bringing men. Yes, because only ships with female crew members have come to deliver supplies. Only food, no seafood we've had since the storms. There is land to farm on the nearby islands, but there are too many wild beasts to fight. Yes, there is something to hunt and grow, but we have no experience. Yes, we have the technology, but it is useless in this situation. What I would give for a man to embark or arrive in this city. Yes, but we knew that almost no one knew about this fantasy city. Yes, well, let's go back. We just wish for it, but it won't come true. If it's just a dream, we won't have that excitement again. I would give my life to have a man with whom I could unleash this lust. Same with me. I can't satisfy myself anymore. I need a man to calm this need. We are all like this, since the men left, and the storms do not stop. Well, let's hope what the future holds. Yeah. The girls retreat, not knowing what the current is carrying them. Meanwhile, quite a few miles away, in the middle of a storm. Issei, what's up, sea gods? Those are all you have. Come on, kill me. Take my soul to the bottom of the sea. Make this torture end. The storm didn't stop. Everything in the water was unruly. The currents didn't stop. The hours didn't pass. Time didn't seem to be on the chestnut's side. Everything seemed to be against him, and his destiny hung by a thread. Fate seemed to be playing with him whether to save him or leave him in the sea. But they knew that the chestnut would have another chance at life, in this life. The storm didn't stop. The sea was so hellish, he didn't know if he was in the center or next to the Bermuda Triangle, but he wouldn't give up until he reached land or died trying. Issei, come on sea, take me to my destination, make this damn nightmare. Finishing saying the sentence, a giant tornado manifests itself. It grew from the sky, and until it touched the sea, the light could be seen from above. A powerful white light passed through the sky. I entered a whirlwind, so much wind ripped the sail from the ship and the mast creaked. The wood that I had put as a raft creaked due to the blizzard of the marine tornado. Minutes I was in front until I reached the eye of the hurricane, and I looked to the sides. The sun looked so bright, and a rainbow came out in the distance. I saw that there was something touched with hearts. I didn't know what it was, but it looks beautiful. My things tied to the boats wanted to come loose. I undid the knot and tied myself to my things. My backpack with my clothes and money. The knife and provisions were there. If I managed to survive, those things would be useful to me if I was alive, and if I managed to touch a firm port. So I only clung to the mast, almost destroyed by the wind, and little by little with the wind it brought rocks and other things that passed hitting me. I mattered. It seemed like my destiny was giving me a second chance, but I wanted to prove if I was worthy of a second chance. I held on to the mast with all my strength. My grip depended on my life. So little by little I was lowering the little barge that remained. So little by little the barge lowered, and before lowering I fainted. The last thing I could see was a green light shooting into the sky in the morning. It meant something, but I just closed my eyes and let the sea take me to that place it had in store for me. After a few moments all that torment disappears. After a few days of storms, the sky seemed calm. the sky had accepted his offer and gave him another chance to remedy the years of torment of his family and friends in Kwa. Now he would have another chance, but in a different country where it will be of some benefit to him. Well, Chestnut was in a half-destroyed boat, his things next to a dying body torn with cuts and bruises on the back and limbs, the mast broken in half, stranded, the sun setting on a perfect day for the beach. In a place near the Chestnut barge. A perfect day for the beach. Yes, but it would be better if a man were with me. You're right. Several girls with lush bodies were on a beach, enjoying the beach, waiting for a man to appear in the vast sea who would quench all those lustful impulses. In the distance the barge was located then, in the middle of the horizon, a small boat appeared with a walking body on it. Girls, what is that boat coming over there? I don't know, but someone is coming inside. I hope he's a man. I hope so. Little by little the cat barge approached and touched land. Quickly everyone approached to see what it was and were surprised by what was on top. It was poor Catania dying. Girls, look at a man and he is hurt. Yes, we have to help him. Issei, please help me, and fainted. Yes, little one, now we will take you to a dry place. Girls, please bring a stretcher and some blankets and the first aid kit. Girls, yes. This is how the girls went for the things while other girls attended to the brown-haired boy. Chapter 3: The City of Fantasies. The storm didn't stop the thunder from crashing against the chestnut tree's boat. The poor man couldn't stand it any longer and collapsed into the boat, hoping for help. The ocean would take him back to dry land, as he proved he was worth the chance to grant him a new opportunity and a new chance. Fate had a surprise for the poor chestnut, but first he had to arrive alive at the destined place. After 3 consecutive days of drought and aridity, 3 long days without food or water, 3 long days of being in the open sea with storms and hurricanes without rest, that was the will of that young man. His will was greater than the sea that was approaching. He sailed 3 days of maritime hell and survived, so if he survived that, what was coming to him was nothing. This is how fate granted him his second chance, to reach a fantasy land, for the one who had lust inside. On the horizon there was that chestnut tree and he saw that in the distance there was land, so with his last strength, he dragged himself, his boat and all, to where his salvation lay. Salvation came and he only felt relief as he would be alive to fight another day. That's how it all began in this new life. He was rescued by those beautiful girls who, without hesitation, gave him first aid, thinking about the health of that young brown-haired boy. They wrapped him in blankets to regain his body heat. Girl 1, calm down, little one, take this. Girl 2, take it so you feel better. The 2 girls who were with him looked angelic in his sight. The chestnut just nodded, and with the little strength he had, he took what those little angels offered him, so he felt fine, but at the same time his body generated heat which was going away and maintained by the cold of the coast. But for that occasion it was better, since little by little he recovered consciousness, body heat. The last thing he heard before he couldn't take it anymore due to exhaustion and lack of food was that an ambulance with nurses had arrived to help him. They quickly wrapped him in special blankets and took him away. They did give him oxygen to make him conscious, but it didn't work. At that moment, he felt hot and tired, so he just fell asleep and didn't know anything about the outside world for a while. Meanwhile outside. Girl 1, look at a man. Girl 2, yes, the sea gave us a savior. Girl 3, yes, well, first we have to see that he recovers properly. But in the meantime we have to make sure he's okay, so that later he returns the favor of saving him. Girl 4, yes, it goes without saying that she fulfilled her part of the deal. Girl 5, yes, finally the era of male abstinence is over, now this boy will serve as a sedative for our lust. Girl 1, yes, finally again, we will have that pleasure again. Girl 2, just thinking about doing it again with this guy makes me hot. Girl 3, we'd better leave for now. The girls, yes. They all nodded, leaving the brunette's body on a luxurious bed, bandaged from the blows from the storm, only longing for the day he would wake up and begin his plan to calm his lust. So the hours passed, the news spread throughout that country. Every girl who was in that country just wanted that brave man to wake up and thus please every girl in that country. Since this was the day she longed for the most, since the storms kilometers from the country did not allow planes or maritime transport with men to pass through the area because they always disappeared or were dead. That day was so long, for that little girl was getting ready to be with that shipwrecked chestnut tree that came from distant lands crossing the stormy seas and oceans. The storms accompanied the destiny of that man who wanted to enter. The strong winds and torrential rains were nothing. Those tornadoes scared those who wanted to enter. But as the saying goes, after the storm comes the calm. They could not imagine the torment Chestnut had endured before arriving at that place. But now he would be in good hands, since the sea would not leave that place, nor would the inhabitants let him escape. He was the only man who survived the fury of the ocean and arrived alive on the island. The island where it was located was called Babari. It was equal to or larger than Hawaii. It was already considered a country. It is not registered on any map or GPS. Any vessel did not look at it or deviated from the course. The few who knew the location was by air, and anyone who passed by there in air mode was lost, or the flight disappeared with all crew and passengers on board. They were lost in the vast sea, and if there were survivors, they died at sea. The chestnut was the first to arrive alive in that country for a long time. Now it was time to return the favor to the ocean by keeping alive that man who had come to solve the problems of that country, that needed a man who could end the lust of those women eager to have a man to satisfy. This is how the life of the chestnut tree will be, whom destiny has given another chance to live. His new destiny will be something very special for him, since as soon as he wakes up, life will change 180 degrees due to the succulence that will be presented to him next. Chapter 4: A Lustful Agreement. A day had passed since that chestnut tree appeared on the coast. The women of the place were worried about why its tenant, or in this case, its savior, had not awakened from that lust. At 17 years old, El Castano is ready to face the dangers and paths that life has in store for him. The poor chestnut was writhing, not in pain, but in suffering, due to the abuse inflicted on him by his parents, and even more so by the lies of his brother. In his dreams he was haunted by memories of the mistreatment of that young man by his family, since his favorite was his brother. His family despised him, his sisters hated him, at Core Academy they hated him for his brother's lies. That mortifying thought tormented him day after day. He just wanted to feel loved, cherished by someone who could know what love is and to be appreciated, or for someone to take a liking to him. That's what Chestnut thought. From his eyes, still sedated by the fatigue of the long journey at sea, small tears were coming out. That was in the young man's mind, but outside of him, only a few nurses with voluptuous bodies could be seen treating the brown-haired boy, who was bandaged all over his body. The nurses only saw the opportunity for the brunette to get up so they could satisfy their lust in that room with the chestnut. The day passed long, the young chestnut did not wake up, the night was coming, and everyone rested to wait for the awakening of the savior. Another day arrived, Chestnut still conscious. Little by little he opened his eyes, and the girls were there only noticing that Chestnut would wake up fine. Issei, what happened? Where am I? Nurse 1, don't worry, you're safe. Nurse 2, if you rest, you will feel better soon, saying this while licking her lips. Nurse 3, yes. Issei, yes, yes. He lay down again, while they went to where the leader of that country was. Leader, they want, how is the guest? Nurse, he's already awake, so maybe I wanted to talk to him. Leader, yes, I will go. The leader approached the room. The girls around the hotel saw the leader pass by. They knew that she had already awakened the savior of her lust. This was the leader of the place. Chestnut room. The poor chestnut tree was bandaged. The wounds were already close to healing. The leader of the place, called Lucy, had arrived alone with the chestnut to negotiate their agreements. Lucy, hello young man, how are you? Issei, well miss, excuse me where I am. Lucy, you see, this place is called Babari, and you see, you arrived here in a small, improvised barge and we saved you. Issei, yes, it's true, and by the way, what's his name? Lucy, my name is Lucy, and what was your name? Issei. Lucy, well Issei, how did you find this place? Issei, I didn't know about this place, I got lost and just sailed for days in the vast ocean. Lucy, so that was it, well Issei, how old are you? Issei, I'm 17 years old. Lucy, so 17 years old, the perfect age. Well, young Issei would be interested in a deal with all of us. Issei, sorry, but what a serious deal. Lucy, well, I'll be direct with you. Well, here on this island there are only women because a few years ago this was an erotic tourist site, where men came to enjoy the pleasures of life. Lucy, but because of the storms, no man has come to satisfy our needs as women, so the deal is this: help us with some jobs outside the island, and here on the island help us with this little problem, and we promise to satisfy all your deepest desires. This is what I told her while whispering in her ear. Chestnut was stiff from the statement they were giving him, especially the last part. He knew he was a bit perverted, but being here in this situation and being told that you were helping them satisfy their lust, and you being perverted, having this opportunity was something to take advantage of. Even more so if your family already gave you up for dead because of his brother's lies, and that everyone at his academy rejected him because of his lies, and that in this country they tell you that they appreciate and love you. Only an idiot wouldn't accept such a tempting deal, and what else could he do if the sea gave him a second chance? Of course he would take advantage of it. Issei, apart from what you want here, what would I have to do outside the island? Lucy, well, you see, here there is a very good crop of different types of vegetables, grains and fruits. But protein like fish is scarce, so we ask you to help us get fish, and also there is an island a few kilometers away that has very good planting land, but there are many beasts too. We asked you, and for your effort we will reward you in the best way. Issei is thinking about it. Well, he knew about fishing, which he learned with his grandfather, and also in the beast house he was very good, so if that was the favor he would fulfill it to obtain his juicy reward. Issei, okay, I accept. When can I start? Lucy, thanks, well, you can start now if you'd like, but first let us give you a sneak peek of what you'll get from now on. Issei, and that would be? Lucy, wait here, rest at night, we will give you a proper welcome. She said this while sitting on the brunette's legs, no sooner saying the last thing she gives him a kiss full of lust accumulated for years of waiting. Lucy, well, I'm leaving here. We'll see each other tonight. She winks and throws him a kiss. Lucy leaves the room. Issei, oh, what a good life I will have here. Well, not this bad. If it weren't for your damn lies, brother, I wouldn't be enjoying this life that I am going to give, so thank you, brother, for this life. Chapter 5, the beginning of a new adventure. Well, here's another part of the story. The chestnut tree was happy with his new life and a little worried about the night, but he would know. He already felt better. His wounds from the storm that had passed, that was a relief. The brown-haired boy slowly got out of bed and walked towards a window in the bedroom, looked out and saw that small island was inhabited by quite a few people, all women. Thanks to his brother's lies, he found this paradise, watching the sea from the window, remembering the torment of 3 days of torment in the vast sea. From the balcony of his room he saw that country full of opportunity, that God had given him one more chance. The hours had passed, girls entered and took him on a tour of the hotel, seeing what its facilities were like as well as the staff. Manager, good afternoon, Salvador-sama. Issei, please call me Issei. Miri, well, Issei-sama, my name is Miri and I am the manager of the place. To identify yourself from the first photograph, it is the one in the center. Well, let's continue. Miri, first, let me say that on behalf of the entire hotel staff, we are very grateful for having found this place and helping the well-being of our country. We wholeheartedly thank you for saving us. Issei, you're welcome. Miri, secondly, you will see that during your stay here on this island, you can be with any girl, to do whatever you want at any time and place. Miri, including myself, we have all developed techniques to please men. Miri, we all have big, soft breasts, no matter where you touch your body, your skin is very soft. Miri, and not only a comfortable flesh, but also the willingness to give her as much pleasure as she desires. Issei couldn't believe that so many girls were willing to do it with him no matter where they came from. It was logical that with all that hellish storm any navigator who came into contact with the location would be swallowed by the sea. But it still wouldn't explain why he was there, if he knew that he got there hearing his brother's lies. Thinking about it gave him a headache, but as some said, leave the past and look to your future. Issei, well, I would like to ask for something if it's not too much trouble. Mary say. Issei, if you could show me the beach where I embarked to this island. Mary, of course, she accompanied him. Issei, it's okay. Issei and Mary left the hotel. Well, that's what the hotel was like. Leaving the hotel, Chestnut could notice that all the girls had lush bodies, and that each of them looked at him in a very unholy way. This apart from scaring him, he liked the feeling of being adored in that small country. So they passed a stretch that was not so long. On the beach, there were a large number of women, who looked at the brunette sensually. Mary noticed the behavior, so she asked them to leave the place since that place seemed to be sacred to them since the savior of the lust of the place arrived there. Still on that small part of the island was that small improvised barge with some of his things on it. Issei, yes, it seems the barge lasted. Saying this, when the barge was boarded, he looked with nostalgia. He saw the rope with which it was tied to the mast, the sails almost destroyed by the blizzards, the mast almost broken. He was surprised that it resisted so much. Mary, something's wrong, Issei-sama. Issei, nothing surprised me. How he crosses the oceans on this barge and all because of a few vile lies from one person. Issei, but even though I feel sorry, I thank you because otherwise I wouldn't have found this place. Mary, if it's true, well, Issei-sama, we must return, since our leader requested that we prepare it for the reception for her welcome. Issei, that's true. Issei got off the barge where he said goodbye to his old life by putting his head on the mast, as he would start a new life. Issei went with Miri to see his gift. He felt anxious about that reception, but knowing what that country was, it would be something very good. Arriving at the hotel, they told me to go to my suite to take a shower, and that I would find all kinds of lotions in the bathtub. At last the chestnut felt hot water and a soothing bath. Finishing his shower, he dried himself and saw a note on his bed. It said to go up to the 6th floor where there was a heart-shaped bed. That room was a passionate red. Candles lit the room. The smell was somewhat erotic and exciting. On some tables they saw that there was strawberry with chocolate, champagne. This confused the brunette, but he already knew where this was going, so he sat on the edge of the bed. His nerves were killing him, but he heard the door open. Lucy, like this young Issei. Issei was surprised by who the voice was. It was the leader of that nation. What surprised him was that she was only wearing a transparent silk robe showing her exuberant body, but he was also surprised that behind her came 10 more girls behind her, in the same way that the leader came, girls who had great attributes. Issei, yes, Lucy. Lucy, she likes what she sees. Issei gulped, but his hidden perverted side was already coming out. Issei, yes. Lucy, good that you like it, because this will be your welcome gift. Lucy and the others took off their robes, revealing their lush bodies to the brunette's eyes. Lucy, well, Issei, tonight you'll spend a hot night with us. Approaching Lucy, Issei planted a kiss full of love and lust on her. Lucy, you kiss so well, Issei, and she asks how you will be here in bed. Lemon skipped. Ending with the last girl who bucked our brown-haired man, he fell exhausted on the bed. Tiredness killed him. The girls, all panting, approached and slept with the brown-haired man, having their vaginas dripping with the brown-haired man's hum. This is how our chestnut tree's first day in his new home went, but something that had him wondering was what had happened to his family. Chapter 6. First day in the other place. It was a new day in the city or country. The sun was already shining in the city. Today apparently was a special or unique day, you could say, since in the place is already the savior of the lust of those girls. A specific place. A window shines and we can see a brunette with lipstick marks on his body, and on the bed there were 10 women with lush bodies with traces of semen on their bodies. A messy room and spilled champagne bottles on the floor. Issei, what happened yesterday? Lucy, good morning, stud. Issei, good morning, what happened yesterday? Lucy, don't you remember? Yesterday you made us into women, and you did it very well. The last thing he touched with his hand the young man's chest. Issei felt a little nervous but very satisfied with what he did last night. Issei, now speaking of this, Lucy, when I can, I'll help with the tasks you assigned. Lucy, if you want, you can start now. Well, if you want other rewards. Issei, okay, I'll start in a few hours. Lucy, it's okay and thank you for the real support. Saying this, she stood up, letting the brunette see her beautiful body. That made him blush because of that body. This is what the other girls did the same when they stood up and gave the brunette a kiss on the lips. This brought emotions to the brown-haired boy, knowing that in that place they appreciated him for being who he is and not pretending to be perfect for others, even though he didn't like that because of his brother's lies, as he wanted he was no longer part of that world. Now he was in this one, and he would make the most of his new life. He just stood up, walked towards the window and looked at how beautiful but terrifying the sea looked. With yesterday's clothes he went down to his room. In the room he had a change of dry clothes. Those clothes were his from the ones he had put in his backpack. On the nightstand in his room was his backpack, and the things he used on his barge were there. He threw his things out of his backpack, saw that he had the hunting knife he used on the barge, which he made 2 changes of clothes bagged and dry, a bag with some souvenirs from his grandfather, like a dragon necklace and a Swiss Army knife. Well, that was enough, and the other things he brought were no longer useful here. You are now ready to start working on your obligations, well, one of your obligations. Before he would have to build a fishing boat and nets, as well as weapons or spears to see what kind of creatures lived there. The good thing is that his uncle was a skilled hunter. If he hadn't stayed with him and his grandfather for several summers and vacations, he would surely have been lost this time. Well, he had more or less his plan. First he would go stock up on fish and other seafood, and after loading he would use some of that bait. First he went to bathe and also prepared himself with mountain clothing for the trip. Luckily he brought some of that clothing because it seemed to be quite hot and jungle-like. First a green short-sleeved shirt. A pair of brown shorts for climbing or being outdoors. And some tennis shoes he had before he met the fierce sea. Well, it was ready. I just had to get the materials for the job. Issei went down to the first place where he found himself and looked at Miri, who was at the hotel reception. Issei, Miri. Miri, young Hydro who plans to do. Issei, Miri, can I ask you a favor? Miri, what would that favor be? Issei, if you could tell me or accompany me where they sell wood, rope and blankets. Miri, it's a pleasure to help you, Issei-sama. Issei, thanks, okay, let's go. The two proceeded to go and get things for their work on the island. They walked through the streets of that fantasy place, entering the city. If he doubted if he could calm the lust of that place, it is true that he was a pervert, but that place exceeded his expectations. In that area of the city, there were many young and adult women with very good bodies, one could say too voluptuary, plus a smell of excitement and lust, which gave him chills but made him feel very good. Well, already knowing the materials that had to be obtained, well, they started buying wooden logs, as well as rope and special blankets for boats. That's some baskets and freckle nets. He had already gathered the materials since the leader had authorized him to be given what he needed to get the food. The morning seemed to be calm after so much storm, so he began piling up a row of wooden logs after tying them with rope. I had a row of about 11 logs, each 1 meter wide and 8 meters long, all securely fastened with rope. After cutting some smaller diameter logs, he made a small house inside the barge to store what he was going to hunt in addition to the baskets of fish he would get. Once the house was finished, he proceeded to put up the mast and sail, joining it with other pieces of logs to make it more resistant on the edges. He already had the base of his boat, now made of white wood. He was making 2 canoes but without the space to sit on. That was what would go in the water, and the base of logs would be dry so that our provisions would not get disturbed when wet. He had spent several hours shaping his 9-meter-high boats so that the ship would have stability, and he left the 11-meter row 1 meter longer so he would have something to lean on when making sharp turns. It was already noon, and you had the materials ready for your expedition, your spears in case you encounter wild animals, baskets, nets, a machete, a compass, a household knife, and your lucky pocket knife. And so he left the islands, seeing that his boat was working. With the oar in his hand he headed west of the place, as his compass indicated, and seeing all the tension of that country, it was quite large as he sailed, that gave him a bit of a scare knowing that the whole population was full of women eager for a man. He didn't think any more and accelerated further, a long journey, but he found a coral reef, stopped his boat, and dived to see what was there, and they weren't lying here if there were large quantities of fish and other sea creatures. Issei, they weren't lying here if there is a variety of fish. Well, let's not say more, let's go for the fish. I throw the net horizontally, holding it inside the boat and letting the net float with the improvised plastic balls. I already had the net, now I'd fish at the bottom to see what I found. He dived to see what he could find tied to 2 baskets, so we wouldn't have to go up and down, leaving the animals behind. He went in without a snorkel. The good thing is that his grandfather was strict and he was from the old school, so he learned to dive without those things, and that's how he learned. He would be grateful if he weren't lost. With his spear he lowered himself and by chance found a large octopus. Luck for him and not so much for the octopus, he thrust his spear into the middle where it had that dangerous beak, thus killing it immediately. It was good fishing, and not far away there were a couple of giant crabs. Today was an excellent day for fishing, especially knowing that crabs should only be caught and not killed immediately. He placed the spear so that the crab could press its claws and put them in the baskets, and 2 lobsters were passing by. He had already feasted on an octopus and 2 lobsters, and came up to the surface where his boat was. Issei, it's so delicious, let's go eat, let's see how the network is. He went to where the net was and to his surprise the net was full of fish and shrimp. He was very happy. It was a successful catch and he filled and filled baskets of fish and shrimp. The best thing was that tangled in the net were 10 good-sized tuna. Issei, I already won the lottery. Well, I finished one, the island is missing. He headed towards the island. Chapter 7, Discovering the Island. The chestnut tree was heading towards the island, leaving some traps behind. Having caught many, it could be little since there was too much that had been caught in large quantities. Well, continuing, ready, he had embarked towards the island. Apparently they were right that it was somewhat far away. The ocean seemed different, the sky was calm, clouds but it seemed warm. But he wondered what had made the men disappear and could not enter. Besides the fact that this was a good destination, and the fact that they didn't appear on the GPS, that was strange, and what kind of creatures were there for us to hunt? Well, the good thing is that it is a good opportunity to redeem another reward. Well, he headed towards the island. Time passed, and he saw the island. In the distance, a green dot could be seen. As time passed, I had arrived at an uninhabited island, but it didn't seem like an island. Apparently, on the shore, there were marks of claws, fangs, and blows on the stones that were on the shore. That was not very normal. There were also tears in the trees and palm trees. I would have to be alert at any moment. After that, he saw a very good area for cultivation, since there was a great variety of fruits, vegetables, grains, and spices. Issei, wow, what a variety! This must be good, but whatever's on this island is bigger than anything I've ever seen. Where there were banana palms, there were claw marks. Issei, well, let's get to work. Issei had climbed the banana leaves carrying a rope with him. Being up there with his hunting knife, he cut the leaf and tied it to the leaf and lowered it so as not to hurt it. Thus he repeated going down 3 banana leaves. Nearby there were coconut palm trees again. He climbed like a monkey, climbing and holding on to his legs, going down coconut by coconut. Issei, getting the coconuts down is going to be difficult. I'll have to make a machete or something to cut them all at once, because cutting them one by one doesn't work. Ending with the coconut trees, there were mangoes nearby, all kinds of mangoes, pinto mangoes, miko mangoes and tomi mangoes. People would climb up trees with baskets and fill them. Well, I already had fruit and from the ground, I collected tomatoes, cucumbers, garlic and removed potatoes, radishes and carrots from the earth. They were already finishing the chestnut, when the sound of grunting was heard. Without hesitation, Chestnut grabbed the improvised spear and tied it to the rope with a coconut as a catapult. He hid in a mango tree and hoped that he wouldn't be detected. While he waited, he decided to reinforce the spear by tying his hunting knife to the spear. And that beast appeared, a wild boar, but it was bigger than the common ones. It had horns and a bigger fang. That was impossible for a beast to be like that. Plus it was approximately 3 meters tall, Chestnut thinking what it could do. Issei, come on Issei, think. He was thinking when he saw the boar approaching a tree to rest. It seemed to have scratches on its side, Something had damaged it, but what? Well, that wasn't the important thing. Now it's time to attack. Issei, with his coconut tied, threw it with force towards the center of his head. In the process, the boar was left stunned and bewildered, but apparently his skull was strong, breaking the coconut upon impact. Issei, with spear in hand, stabbed him in the back, but the boar had come out of that trance and with its horns threw the chestnut to the other side. On the ground, the chestnut would not give up so easily. The boar came charging at full speed. Issei prepared himself, his bare feet planted in the ground, and faced the beast. A blow was heard, the impact of Issei with his front fangs, the ones that protruded from his mouth. The strength and determination of the brown-haired boy were seen with that of the animal. The boar began to push. Issei was not far behind, but he was not going to beat the animal. He had to think, and fast. He remembered when he and his uncle had married unarmed wild boars. They had to grab them by the mouth and mount them from behind. But what would he do with such an animal? He was running out of time, and he already knew how to kill it. He still had the rope with which he tied the coconut tangled in the upper horns. He grabbed the rope and with one hand passed it under the animal's jaw, but losing strength in the push, this was his only chance to kill it. He quickly passed the rope through the animal's jaw, and now having the ropes in one hand, he jumped on top of the boar, pulling it with all his strength. He already had the spear on his back, since the sudden pull had made it fall. Now was the moment. Having the spear in his hand, he got off the beast, turned the animal's head, and thrust the spear down its throat. The beast's screams and moans, when they were no longer heard, made Chestnut feel if it still had life, and the pulse was no longer felt. That beast had died. Issei, but what a big beast! How can such a beast exist? Well, I'll take it to see what its meat tastes like. He'd had enough of that island for the moment. Next time he'd come prepared for any kind of dress, even the one that scratched the boar. The marks were deep, but what would it be? Without further ado, Chestnut dragged the boar, tying it by the legs, finding his boat. Little by little he brought the boar up. After tying it to the boat, he went to grab the other things. As time passed, it was getting late. He brought up all the baskets and stocks of fruit and vegetables. Issei, today will be a good feast, wild boar with salad. He untied the boat and left. Leaving that coast, it seemed like nothing had happened, but that bothered him, as to why all of this was happening. And he left the island far away, proceeding to look for his home, which he would arrive at before nightfall. Well, he had food and more, such a piece of meat that he brought. Issei, well, the effort I made to catch you was worth it, what a delicious mango. Having stocked up on supplies for her tiny house, next time she'll have to bring more palm leaves to make more baskets. In the distance you could see his island, while on the island. Miri, it's been a while. Artoria, yes, but since I was going to visit the island it would take a while because of the distance. Alice, I hope he comes back. Miri, yes. They had already left when. Miri, there it is. Artoria, yes. Issei was beginning to approach the island. There was not much left. At last he had arrived. He had boarded a ship on the coast of the country. Several girls had gone to pounce on him out of concern. Issei, calm down, I'm back. Miri, you had us worried. Issei, yes, and I know, but I brought a lot of things. You can tell Lucy to come and several girls. Miri, it's okay. Miri had gone for the leader and other girls. Lucy and the others had already come. Lucy, what did Issei want with me? Issei, I came back from work and look what I found. He had untied the boar and dragged it out of the raft. Lucy, and what is that? Issei, this, Miss Lucy, is an extra-large boar. Lucy, go. Issei, you are alone. Issei, yes, and other things too. Lucy, more. Issei, yes, look, he brought a basket full of large fish and salmon. Issei, help me unload. Lucy, go girls. Several girls got on the barge, and were surprised by everything it had brought. The leader had ordered it to be taken to the hotel, but while they were busy Issei was with the leader. Lucy, thank you for this that you brought, not saved. Issei, nothing, thank you, he said to her in a whisper, lowering his hand, grabbing the black-haired girls, but I want my reward. Lucy, ah. The black-haired girl's moan was heard. Of course, Issei, we're going to give you your reward. He had lightly bitten the chestnut's ear. Meanwhile, in the house. I'm fed up with your infidelity. I don't know what you're talking about. A man with reddish hair. You know what I'm talking about, that hitch you sleep with and leaves this on your shirts. She shows him a shirt stained with lipstick and all scratched. Zudico's, so what will you do? I'll leave and you won't find me. She had been a good-body brunette. Zudico's, we'll see about that. Villana, I bet you do. The chestnut had withdrawn from a room hoping to get out of that place. Chapter 8, Revelations of Betrayal Part 1. It could be seen in a castle, more specifically in the underworld. You see two people arguing. I'm fed up with your infidelity. I don't know what you're talking about. A man with reddish hair. You know what I'm talking about, that hitch you sleep with and leaves this on your shirts. She shows him a shirt stained with lipstick and all scratched. Zudico's, so what will you do? I'll leave and you won't find me. She had been a good-body brunette. Zudico's, we'll see about that. Villana, I bet you do. The chestnut had withdrawn from a room hoping to get out of that place. Those who were arguing were the matriarch of the Gremory family. Just as in that same castle there was another couple fighting over the same problem, infidelity. Graphia, I'm fed up with your damn infidelity. Circe, I didn't do anything. Scribble, it's like nothing, last time I found you rolling around with a maid in our bed. Circe, that's nothing. Graphia, so, how do you explain that the other time I saw you entering a brothel with your father, the other leaders, and the Phoenix bastard? I don't know how you two can let your sister get married, with such a jerk and womanizer that he is. Graphia, you know I'm leaving here. I don't want to see you anymore and I'll tell your mother this. Circe, you know what, I don't care if you leave, besides who's going to bankrupt someone who's already old? Graphia, I hope you don't regret it later. Graphia had left the castle crying over her infidelity, trying to find solace in someone, unaware that fate would stop her. Just like the script, Villana left crying because of her husband's infidelity. The two of them meeting in Qua Park, both crying. Villana, what a sniff, I checked the spelling. Spelling, what a sniff, Circe, Sniff cheated on me, Sniff just like her husband, Sniff was cheating on her, Sniff cheating on her. Villana, Sniff, I know, Sniff, I came to warn you, Sniff, my daughter, about the plan she has, Sniff her father with the engagement, Sniff, since Sniff, that bastard, Sniff, is a womanizer. Spelling, yes. But while in a temple there was a couple arguing. A brunette and fallen angel arguing, you know why. Shuri, I'm fed up with your infidelities, Betrayal. Betrayal, haha, as if you could prove it. Besides, I do what I please, so I'm going by. Shuri, wait, bad. He couldn't say anything else when Betrayal had left by means of a magic circle. Shuri, you're going to drink Betrayal and you'll regret having done this to me. Shuri went to her room to pack her things to forget about that ungrateful man. Meanwhile, in another house. Rias, Oka-san, spelling that happened. Villana, your father, Sniff, was cheating on me. Scribble, your brother, Sniff, was cheating on me. Rias, it can't be, I don't think Oda-san, Oni-sama, did this. Villana, well, yes, they did. Graphia, and I think Shuri-san and the others did the same to her, from what I saw. Rias, and what do you suggest, Oka-san, because you know that the engagement with that unfortunate Razor Phoenix is approaching. Villana, escape with Graphia and Shuri with Akeno, to get out of here and go to another continent, because surely when they find out we didn't go they will send for us, especially you. Spelling, with sane with Villana-sama, Rias Ojo-sama has to escape. Rias, yes I know, but where? Villana, anywhere other than this continent has to be the other side of the world. Spelling, for example. Villana, America. Rias, seriously, Ojo-sama. Villana, yes, I was prepared for this, so without him realizing it, I transferred several amounts of money to an account in the Bahamas, so we can live very well. Rias, okay, So when are we not going? Valana, first, we have to tell Sure and leave tomorrow afternoon. Rias, it's okay. Valana, meanwhile, me and Graffy will stay here. Rias, good. Shuri was talking with Akeno about her father's infidelity. Akeno, I don't think Otosan did that. Shuri, well, if he did, sniff, he's probably with a big lizard right now. Akeno, and what will you do? Shuri, we won't both go somewhere with my aunt and cousin since she's been having this problem of infidelity for a while now. Akeno, if you want to avoid seeing Otosan, we'll go where you laugh. Shuri, yes, in the meantime, pack your bags, honey. We're leaving tomorrow afternoon. Akeno, yes, okay. Akeno, full of hurt, wanted to destroy or hurt her father for doing that to her mother. Shuri calmed her down so that no more problems would arise. In another house, in a room. Alex, I'm sure you're ready to go. Yeah. Alex, I'm sure they'll all be devastated. You don't even need to say it. Falling in love with someone like me, as she said, was love at first sight. What a surprise they'll get. Alex, yes, and you already know who will also say it in the underworld, and he has our trust and the patriarchs don't know about this alliance of ours. You're right. I think we won't look for problems with the Citri's older sister either. Alex, you, since you fell in love with her and almost all of her entourage, except her queen, so the other one conquered her, or is it not like that, Saji Genshiro? Saji, you're right, and that stupid sister, what was her name, Sarah Fall, is very attached to her brother. I don't know how you could lie to your family about your brother not wanting to be in your hateful family. Alex, yes, I don't know how my parents ate that, and by the way, I wonder where it is. The two of them were thinking when in another place. Lemon skipped. Mari, if you break up with her and have fun again. Yukino, if Issei breaks up with her, we'll give you another reward. Issei, how beautiful ladies want. The four of them were having wild hex with the three beautiful Milfs and Issei in a room with them, giving their needy bodies a good treatment. Chapter 9, Revelations of Betrayal Part 2. The next day after the talk between Alex and Saji, as well as the fights between Lady Gremory and Himejima, as well as the wife of the Mao Lucifer, both in school and in the underworld, a truth or revelation would be presented that would reveal the farce that was the Hujo brother, or called the Perfect of Qua. That's what Alex Hujo was called at the Hujo Academy, but he would soon discover the truth about the false charm he made and the lies told to the Academy about his brother and his family. In another house, several beautiful girls were getting ready and meeting up. Venelana, okay, girls, you're ready, Sayaka and Sasaku. Are you sure you're going with us? Sayaka, yes, I'm sure, as is Sasaku, since some fallen have been after me. Sayaka was a slender woman who displayed a seductive body that would make many fall for it, with cup breasts, a G+, watch waist, with desirable wide hips and a giant and seductive fleshy ass with her thick, molded legs, dressed in black jeans and a sleeveless shirt. Imagine her wearing canvas pants and a sleeveless shirt, this beauty or not. Sasaku, yes, that Alex guy was also starting to annoy me. Akeno, yes, you're right, it seems this is the last day at the academy, and we're not going, in case they look for us and do something to us. Shuri, yes, you know how it is. There's a parent meeting coming up at the academy. Venelana, you're right, just that meeting and we'll disappear from the sight of those ungrateful people. Shuri, yes, in addition to that, on this trip, some yokai will also come. Venelana, yokais? Shuri, yes, my friend Yasaka, along with her cousin. The council members already want her position as leader, and thinking about this I told her about this escape from here, and she told me that we should go with them since they had a boat ready for us to escape and for them along with some more of them towards our destination. That's what I wanted to tell you. I don't know what you think. Venelana, yes, that's fine by me since we don't know how reliable the transportation is for traveling, and if she already had a way to escape, then that's fine by me. Graphia, yes, we also go more for any problems that arise along the way. Venelana, well, let's get to it. I don't want to drag this out any longer. All yes. The women went straight to the academy for the parents' meeting. To clarify, that's the one from the anime, but ahead of time. Okay, well, let's continue. After classes, they had given an announcement in the middle of the main courtyard from the megaphone, and the school berets could be heard. I want everyone to pay attention to the following information I have to give you. Everyone present was attentive to the information, and among them was the prestigious Hyujo family, since that family would be proud of their son Alex, and also that everyone in the academy knew everything that his younger brother did, and now they wondered where their brother was since he had not attended class for a long time and for a long time. Some girls were worried about him, but the question where he was. He had asked his family where he was, but they always answered that he had left because Alex had said that he hated them and would rather die than be with them, and so they themselves turned their backs on their own son and indulged their other son. They had also asked his sisters Kyumi and Zuki Hyudo, just as Alex said that at night there were attempts to grape them, but he said that he went in and arrested his brother. And like other things, he had raped several girls and they didn't even know about it. Just like he was a batterer, he didn't respect women. Many believed it, and he also said that he was involved in illegal businesses, that he sold drugs, and that he had joined a group of magicians who kidnapped girls from high schools to traffic them and sell them as prostitutes. Many who were in love with the chestnut tree, when such vulgarities occurred, left and went with their brothers. But we all wondered what messages they had to give, and where he was. We have everyone's attention. All yes. This announcement is about revealing a truth, a dirty truth, in addition to uncovering several lies that have been told to us and revolves around the Hyujo members. In this institution many lies have been told and today we are going to deny them, and we have not all asked where Issei Hyujo was and everything he has done or what Alex Hyujo has told us. Gentlemen and ladies, let me tell you, and I am also surprised and very sad that everything Alex Hyujo has told us is a big lie. Issei Hyujo is innocent of everything he has invented, everything Alex Hyujo has done. Everyone said no or said it was slander, lies to incriminate him. I know you don't believe me, but we have an audio that proves everything said here and also that he had two accomplices, who are Saji Genshiro and Kibayuto. Everyone was surprised to hear all those names, they were surprised by what they had said, then they began to listen to a recording. Saji, they really ate that story. Alex, yes, they swallowed the whole story and the lies that he had done this and that. Kiba, I don't know how they can realize all the ones you've put in, but well, he's not here anymore and we can share the girls who were in love with him. Alex, yes, and I already have some in mind for myself, but you guys won't get away with it since you managed to fool those members of the student council. Kiba, yes, that vice president fell head over heels, but the lucky one is you Genshiro. How damn lucky to fall in love with the same president and the well-known ice student. Saji, look how lucky I am. Besides falling in love with everyone on the student council, now they're all eating out of the palm of my hand. Alex, and apart from the fact that those lies, they are true, but those truths are mine. Saji, blaming your brother for your work, that deserves my respect. Kiba, you have to incriminate your brother for your crimes, you deserve my respect. Alex, yes. After the recording, only laughter was heard and then the recording was cut off. You saw, those were the same words of the true lies attributed to his partner Issei Hyujo, and I being the first to ask for forgiveness wherever you are. Everyone was more than surprised by the revelation. I'll pause here to take you to the other revelation. Okay, let's continue. The Underworld Castle Gremry. In the castle owned by the Gremry, a celebration had been held for the arranged engagement of Vala Lucifer with the Himejima cousins and the Archangel Gabriel in the underworld. In addition to the engagement of the young Alex Hyujo, he will not be the Sekiryutai, the possessor of the blood of the warrior Attila the so-called, the scourge of the wrath of God, and his weapons that are compared to a Longinus Gred. That was part of the nobility of Rias Gremry, seeking the hand of the Nicomatas Kuroka and Kaneko as well as the goddesses Athena, Artemis and Aphrodite in hand. The goddesses seemed to not want to be with someone so arrogant, but then a voice was heard. Rise of him, hello supernatural world. Sir Shay, rise of him, what are you doing? Rise of him, nothing, I just came to greet my allies, isn't that true Vela and Alex? Everyone in the room was surprised by the names already mentioned. Sir Shay, traitors, we gave them confidence, and we treated them with confidence, and this is how they repay us. Alex, so you can look, and tell your sister that her pieces are there, then I'll go get them. Valley, yes, Betrayal, I will go for my fiancés. Betrayal, you won't try. Valley, and also your succulent wife. Betrayal, don't mess with my wife. Valley, yes, I'll take my fiancés anyway. Alex, yes, me too. But something didn't fit. The girls who were in the castle disappeared or were no longer in the castle. Valley, where are they? While somewhere else. Kuroka, we have to leave the one we can't save. Kaneko, yes, sister, we have to go. Athena, yes, we already have an escape route. Kuroka, yes, my mother already has a solution. Aphrodite, I hope so. While they were all on the run after that meeting, like other leaders, they left. Back to the academy. Some girls cried all over the place because they had gotten their hopes up about the brown-haired guy who was a good man. But they were wrong and they despised the other brown-haired guy, all because of their brother's lies. The girls who were in love with Issei Hujo and broke down and began to cry. They loved him deeply, but because of their brother's lies they distanced themselves from him and believed his lies. One of them was the captains of the Kendo Club, Muramea and Katans. There were some of those who were in love and those who fell for their brother's lies and turned their backs on him. Others who felt sadness were the girls from the student council who were stunned by the words of the two boys, so almost all the girls were like that. But the threatening words of many girls towards the Hujo sisters, such as, that they wished she would die, or that they had never existed, and many other things to the Hujo family since the cause of all this had not appeared. But those insults were also for the Chestnut's parents who regretted having believed him and not when Issei told them it wasn't true. But no, they were believing the other like mules and now they suffered the consequences of their loss, and the worst thing is where the Chestnut is. Mickey, sniff, son, sniff, my son, sniff, where are you, sniff, surely, he is suffering from cold, hunger, loneliness, and where will my little one be? Meanwhile somewhere else. Lemon skipped. Issei thoughts, what a lovely paradise, how lucky I am, and besides I don't even know how things are there, what do I care, after all they abandoned me because of the lies, in the meantime I will take advantage of this until the end. Chapter 10, Discovering Creatures. A chestnut tree had appeared after another of his rewards from the girls. He always wondered what kinds of creatures there were on that island. Another thing that made him think was what kind of women there were there, although it's true that these days he only experienced 1,000th of the entire island. When she was improving her weapons, she heard from the girls who were there about places that were another alternative for women who lived there, just like they existed when men arrived, although of course almost no one left the hotel they were staying at. Maybe after 2 trips I would tell the leader that I would go out to explore the island, or maybe stay in places to begin connecting with the women of the world. Well, he was preparing to go hunting again. After what happened with the beast found on the island, I was already beginning to plan what I should take to that island. With what was left of some of the things from old pieces of metal ships that arrived and the girls collected and stored. Although there had to be something left in return for them to be given, it seemed that the leader was beginning to implement all the old trade methods, barter, but only with him. Well, after a small exchange with the one who guarded the metal and with the one from a small blacksmith shop, he began to make metal spears, a sword, an axe, and several arrows. He made a bow from the wood left over from an old tree that was left. Then he headed towards the island, leaving nets on the reefs and then going to collect them. Upon arriving at the island, the extraction of various things began, fruits, vegetables, and others. That was only on half the island. He went exploring, going deeper into that dark jungle. It's true that there were quite a few fruit trees, but the deeper he went, the more claw and fang marks he saw. On his expedition he encountered something that amazed him. A fang, but that wasn't what amazed him, it was how big it was almost the size of his hand or bigger. He just collected it in a bag, but he would have to collect other material or get it from an animal. Leather and other elements to create something I thought of. Further ahead he heard something that put him on alert, a roar that shook him. He climbed a tree and with his bow he was alert. Among all that weed suddenly appeared a scaly beast. Slime came out of the mouth of that beast. It seemed like it was poison or poison because the roots withered. Scaly tail, and had scales all over its body. Now if I had seen what kind of creatures lived there, it was certainly not by chance. Issei, and now what do I do? Where will be the point of this beast? Suddenly he saw that his eyes were covered with those scales that he was sure were 100% resistant to his weapons, but he would try his luck. He shot an arrow at the animal and as he guessed it did not pierce its scaly skin. He quickly hid hoping she wouldn't notice. Survey. I know many people don't look at the other story for these surveys, so I'd better put it here. Well, you could say this part is something fundamental in the story and I won't give spoilers, otherwise the betrayed ones won't find the place yet, so don't ask me why you haven't arrived so they can give you like a drawer that doesn't close. Another thing, tell me yes or no to the following. I know this part is not as relevant as what comes next so. They want Chestnut to go around delivering milk, to dress up as a milkman and get to know the place where the world or fate brought him or didn't. I'm also tempted to put other races here or girls from other Harem here, what do you think? Also maybe I can put an elf village. Well, leave your opinions and let's continue with the story. After Chestnut hid, he told himself that this armor could be useful for something. Another thing that caught his attention were the spikes on its tail and back, which could be its method of defense. The Chestnut did not hesitate, he wanted to try something with that beast. He knew very well that he could not dare it with that arrow or any weapon on its back, so he would try to blind its sight, and thus be able to take it to experiment with the animal. And he saw that he had an opportunity, and he didn't waste it. With an arrow he pierced the animal's eyes, which let out a cool horror movie sound. Seeing that the animal was not moving, he touched the animal with a spear to confirm if it was dead. Apparently so, but to be sure, he turned the animal over and it seemed to be quite soft in its abdomen. Apparently this creature was similar to a crocodile, the top was hard and the bottom was flat. He tied the animal with the ropes, but something stopped him. I was hearing footsteps of an animal. I didn't know for 100% what it was. I used the body of that animal to use it as camouflage. In the distance he could hear those footsteps. When he saw them in the distance, that creature appeared in his vision. When he saw it he thought it was a deer or a stag or an elk, but it seemed to be a pair of two animals, a bull and an elk. First, to tire out the beast he shot arrows at its back which pierced the animal's skin. The animal was about to burrow into him when he came out of his hiding place and, picking up his spear, which the Huna had left aside, ran and pierced almost his entire body. When he saw this, the animal just writhed in pain. The Chestnut ended his pain by piercing his neck. As best he could, he dragged the beasts to the barge where the two beasts barely fit. El Castano seriously considered renovating his barge and making it bigger. The chestnut tree no sooner left the island than he left, but not before looking back when he saw a fin and a rather dark shadow. I didn't know what it was, but I knew those waters were dangerous. Arriving where his nets were, the routine began, when he saw that a piece of the net was torn and in the net there were a few fish that were cut in half. That didn't surprise him when he saw that the net had a pointed tooth. He wondered what animal it could be. Judging by its shape it looked like a shark, and apparently this shark had a super jaw for having such a big tooth. He let it pass, so he headed towards the island. The weather had already changed, apparently in fury, not as much as when he was drifting. He headed out before the ocean returned him to his world or to what he left behind. He sped off, reaching the island, as always leaving his raft on the shore and tying up his barge. He dragged the horned bull to the shore and the girls began to unload everything he was carrying. The girls were going to get off the other beast. Issei, leave this beast here. I plan to do something else with it. Girl, it's okay. Artoria, Lord Issei. Issei, just say Issei. Artoria, okay Issei, what are you going to use or what are you planning to do with this animal? Issei, experiment with it, and had another purpose planned for this specimen. Artoria, I understand. Issei can make a suggestion. Issei, tell me. Artoria, it's been a long time since wine arrived in this country, so I want to suggest something to you. Issei, yes. Artoria, many have only stayed in hotels waiting for the girls, only a few, almost none of them go out to see the city itself, so I asked her if she would like to see more of it. Issei considered that idea. It is true that the activities he was doing were always done at the hotel, and he had not gone to the city or did not know where those girls came from, so he did not even interact much with the girls in his room. Maybe he could be surprised if he went out to meet and experience new things. It did not sound bad at all. Issei, yes, I would like to see the city. Artoria, great, so I'll pick you up tomorrow to take you to the city. And finally a surprise. Issei, so surprise, huh? Okay, I accept. Tomorrow at what time? Artoria, at 9 a.m. in the morning. Issei, okay, wait, what's your name? Artoria, my name is Artoria. Issei, nice to meet you, Artoria. Artoria, the pleasure is mine. Well, I'll leave it to Issei-sama to finish off that animal. Issei, yes. The chestnut turned to the beast and began to explore it firmly and securely. While Artoria, turning around, smiled in a macabre and somewhat lustful way. The girl was heading towards a coffee shop in an alley. And I accept. Artoria, yes, I accept. Great, finally back to the era of abstinence. Artoria, yes, I know, but you know how much it will cost you. Yes, I know, I'll give you half today and tomorrow. Artoria, and only that. Okay, you also have the right to a VIP pass, that's enough. Artoria, yes, that's enough, just one thing, don't leave the place closed and just the entrance. Leave it like that and eat with the customers and it gets more interesting, don't you think? Yeah, you're a rascal, Artoria, but okay, I accept the terms, take your pay and that's it. Artoria, it is always an honor to do business with you, Mrs. Elise. Elise, yes, remember not to tire it out too much, it's better to leave it in use during the day. Artoria, I give you my word, have everything you need for you know that. Elise, yes. Elise was a pink-haired woman, her curves were killer, having an hourglass shape, her H-cup breasts giving her a good front and her wasp hips, her fleshy ass and her molded legs wearing a leather dress. That dress did everything possible so that those huge breasts did not come out of that tight dress. Elise, you're right, let's have a drink. Artoria, yes, doing business makes me thirsty. Elise felt lucky not only because Chestnut would come, but because he would be the one to calm all the lust and passion that was springing from her, and she would take advantage of it until she or he was satisfied. Elise, finally, after many years, someone will come and set foot in the place. It's true that no one left those hotels, but now we'll surprise them. Ask. Where do you think they will take him? To the chestnut tree to give his blessings. I'll leave you a clue, there will be many women and music, that's all I can say.
Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.